Welcome, everybody. I want to share some excellent resources with you today, all of my educators, my homeschool families. I really want you to go to readwritethink.org and star this thing. I love it very much, and it's just filled with tons of activities, multiple grade levels. You can see how lovely this is for us, especially for us homeschool moms who say, well, my son's in 6th grade, but he's really doing 7th grade work here, and then my kid here is all over here. So I love this site. So there's one PDF that I want to draw your attention to today, and it's from readwritethink.org, and it's called TP-CASTT. This is a way that we can break down poetry with our children, and this can go probably 3rd grade all the way to 12th grade, and it can really help them break apart the poems and get to the heart and the meaning. And it can also just help them unlock if they're struggling with a particular poem and they might not grasp where the shift in the tone is or what the theme is from the poem. This can help them step by step learn how to do that and what to be aware of. So I want to draw your attention to Longfellow. Now, when I teach Longfellow, I would always start with a writer's quick response. And I would let them go back and do some, let's understand what some background knowledge that we might need. Then let's do a little quick write poem about the tide rises, the tide falls. And this is just using the title to allow students to play around with this concept, to show them how you can take a title and you can come at it from so many different perspectives, so many different points of view. So I like to do that with my classes. And then, of course, I love my quotes. And we will discuss the quotes. What do these mean? And then you can do we can talk about it with partners, table groups. Then we can talk about it with the whole group. We can chart it. We can put this up on the projector, and we could write all around the whiteboard. We could just completely cover this up with words. Now, when you get to the poem and it's time to do, I see where my poem is off the page. When it's time for you to do the actual literary analysis of the poem, this is where you can have your student take the poem and create their own Google slide and do the TP-CASTT for it. They can break it apart. Now, before you teach it, it would be really good for you to go online to some of these different English websites that provide you with, what is the imagery? What is the background? What is Henry trying to say here in this poem? Because some of it you might say, oh, he was actually talking about death. Well, then wonder why. When was it written? Well, then he had 2 wives pass away. So maybe that, the thoughts of death were, and his own immortality and mortality was on his mind. So you never know if he was thinking of eternal life, if he was thinking about life on earth. And so knowing kind of some of those words can then make you say, oh, well, let's go back and look at the time period of when he wrote it. Another really good website that I want to draw your attention to is the Poetry Foundation. This is where you can get an awesome amount of information about poets. And the biographies are very detailed. You can spend your time going back through and looking at some of maybe of his notable works. Like if your student really likes this, then they might want to go and read Paul Revere, or they might want to check out some of the other titles that he did, maybe some of his lesser known works, and you could pull those out. And so I think that it's very important that we learn a little bit about who we're reading, and then that will allow our students or our children in homeschool to be able to investigate not only the time period when it was written, kind of some of their backstory, and it adds depth when it's time to read the poem for them to be able to grasp maybe some of the nuances, maybe what they might have been inspired by. Something else that I would like for you to consider when you're teaching poetry is to go online and look on YouTube and look at how other people are presenting the same poetry, how they're reading it. Then we have performances. You can go through and see students creating English 3 projects. Like I can just look at this one. I just really like the backdrop on that one. These can also, look, this is a music video, an English project. So then your students can go through and say, oh, look, they did this at Poetry Out Loud. I do that competition at school. Your students can go through and actually check out ways that it has been adapted and interpreted. I think that that is very valuable for discussion. Look, in ASL, guys, YouTube has opened up so many opportunities for us to explore creative mediums with our students, and it takes the poetry off of the page and it gives them an accessibility that we may not have ever thought about when we were growing up. So I would definitely explore some of these, and then if you like them, you know how you can go in and save them to your playlist. You can create a poetry playlist. So I could just keep going, keep going. Look, there's acoustic, a cover of the poem. I mean, I love the creativity. You can also give your students a project where they would have to create their own. And I would highly recommend Adobe Spark. Now, Adobe Spark is free for students. It is absolutely amazing. I love Adobe Spark. It's easy to use, or I would not be telling you to do so. And my students, for example, I have a 9th grade student in my class, and he became our video recorder. He was our photographer. He also became our editor, and he jumped on there. And like it says, create in minutes. It truly can be created in minutes. And look, start now for free. Students do get a free version with this, and you can also get the app for your phone. So this would be awesome to be able to turn this poem that your students are going to be learning into one of these by using Adobe Spark. So let's get back to TP-CASTT, because TP-CASTT is just a great way for you to teach analysis, and I would recommend that you use TP-CASTT every single time you are going to introduce poetry or work poetry into your class. Don't try anything else. TP-CASTT is the place. I've used this for years. I am so thankful for my English 2 leader, back in the early, maybe 2012, 2013, maybe 14, when she first showed me TP-CASTT. This can also be used with short stories. You can use it for excerpts, like if a student is trying to practice for the EOC or an end of grade test or a comprehension test. You can also use it. So just because it says poetry here and poem, you can change it and put text there. So as you can see, what's important is trying to do some predictions. This, to me, the paraphrase is key now. This is so key. And what I had my students doing is that they would annotate right across here. Then they would take it stanza by stanza. So we would look at the first stanza, and then we would go on this side and we would paraphrase it. Then we would draw, because I do the draw strategy. So we would draw images here that would be key symbols to help us connect to the poem. Okay, I'm going to go back. The connotation. You can really teach the negative and positive connotations here and look at what the words mean, the imagery. And if you've already looked here and you've done your background really fast, you can see the dark scene. You can see temporary, darkness settles on roofs and walls. There's the shift from the sea to the town. And so if you're looking here, and you want to know where the shifts are and you're having difficulty yourself maybe finding it the first time, going online and studying some of these breakdowns of poetry can give you clues as well so that it can help you teach the poem. This one here, what is the speaker's tone? This can go based on the word choice. So once they break up this word choice, then it moves here. Okay. Now, go back and look at the title again and say, well, were we close to this? Sometimes I would just have my students give a big check or rephrase or go deeper here. And this one, the theme, you can get the theme as soon as you get the shift. Once you notice the shift in the pattern of any work, that's where a theme is going to reveal itself. Now, this is going to be in anything. I mean, this is just a standard in literature. You can break this down. The patterns are very clear. And I'm not going to say every piece of work, every piece of poetry you read or every works that, a collection or you're reading a short story or you're in a novel that it's all going to be that way. But it is very common for when you find the shifts, you will find an emerging theme that builds on a theme, the total encompassing theme. But just trust me on this. The shifts are important because once you see it, then you're going to start to see some type of growth, some kind of reflection, some kind of lesson learned. There's going to be some kind of personal development there or a choice there or a change there that is going to signal the theme. And so I really love how this TP-CASTT works, and I want to encourage all of you to use this for the rest of your teaching career for poetry analysis. Now, if you have something else that's better than TP-CASTT, share it with me because I love getting resources. I love sharing resources with my teachers. I love practicing it at home, but I can tell you tried and true that this is one that is my go-to. And so what all do you do after you read the poem? Of course, you want to create yourself some EOC type questions, and you can get some basic ones. And you can let your students create the questions for these in partner groups. You can have tables create one question per stanza. There's so much that you can do where you can allow the students to craft questions and you can give them question stems. I'm going to do another video on question stems and give you the resources for that. But right now, I don't own any of these images or anything, and I got them just straight off of images, so I don't want you to think these are mine. And you can come to readwritethink.org and get your own link here. I'm going to go ahead and put the link, though, in the description. And I'm going to put the website link because I really want you guys to come back to this. I can't even tell you how much I use this website. I use it a lot. So make sure you get Read, Write, Think. All right. Don't forget about Adobe Spark if you want to take it to the next level and allow your students to create a short. You see how short these are? You could have them create a short video, and the more that they do these and they work with the platform, the easier it will get for them, and they will be able to upload images, text. The first time might take them a few minutes, but afterwards, trust me, It'll get really fast. Now, when I was at the school, when I didn't have access to technology as open as I do in my home, I had an issue with sharing it. So the sharing was difficult for me when I was on the iPads in my classroom. And we ended up having to actually upload them. A way that we got around it is we uploaded them and put them on YouTube. And we put them on the YouTube channel, but we set it as private. So that way the student could show, and if they don't have their own YouTube channel, their own Gmail account, you could upload it into yours, and you could set it as unlisted. Anyone with the link could view it, or you could set it for private, and only you could view it with your students. And then you can download it, because then you can download it from YouTube. We were having issues with the share instantly just because we had some administrative issues with who could allow apps to send an email out. And so that's where we were blocked. And we took them to our IT person, and they showed me the roundabout way without unlocking anything, just putting it up on YouTube. So go and try Adobe Spark. All right, I hope that this video has been helpful. It's National Poetry Month, so I think that spending time in poetry this month would be a great way to connect with some of the good resources that are already floating around on the internet. As you can see, celebrate poets and their craft. So you could possibly find a lot more activities on this website. As you can see, too many that you can even handle. All right, I hope you guys have a blessed one. Bye.